Audit what you're doing. Is it working? Would you do this in your business continually for the amount of time that you've been doing it and still allow the lack of results that you have and still be complacent with what you've gotten from the effort you've put in? You would probably change it real quick. My name is Brian Panuzzo. I help financial professionals build a life outside the office that actually holds up. It's built for stress, travel, family, client dinners, the pressure you feel on a regular basis, long weekends on sports fields, driving your kids around everywhere. I spent 20 years in your seat. I know the life that you live. I have 60 plus clients doing the same thing. If we can do it, so can you. Welcome back to the podcast. I am your host, Brian. This is the Success Lift podcast, and I am really, really excited to tell you that this is episode number 300. We are celebrating milestones inside of this program that we run for high performers just like you, and this podcast this week. We got a lot of stuff going on. I am so excited for you to be back here. I first off want to acknowledge myself. I'm just kidding, sort of. I want to thank me. I want to thank me for showing up every single week for the last 5 3/4-ish years. We're pushing 6 years of this podcast with weekly episodes. But really, honestly, I'm trying to be a little silly here. My humor is not very good. I want to thank you. I want to thank you if this is your first time listening. I want to thank you if this is the 300th episode. And I do know people personally who have listened to or watched all 300 episodes, or at least they've told me so. If you've been riding with me since the summer of 2020, when this was like screw it, I might as well start a podcast and see what happens. I'm an entrepreneur. I got a business. This is what these people do. Let's just see what happens. Quickly, I was like, yeah, I'm doing 1 a week. Why don't I go to 2? And I was advised to shut that down immediately. And I'm glad that I did. And I'm glad that I just stayed consistent with my actions and showed up on a weekly basis and continued to deliver value to people listening. And I didn't look at downloads, and I didn't worry about, too much of the quality. If you go back and look at, episodes probably in the hundreds, certainly before episode 100, I look at some of those clips and I'm like, oh my God, look at the background. Listen to the way I talk. It's a great lesson in just showing up and being consistent and making a decision that you're going to do something and not worrying about the result and allowing the result to take care of itself despite things going on around you. I'm also really excited this week because just by chance, and maybe not by chance, I'm also celebrating a sort of a nerdy health coach, strange milestone of tracking food on a daily basis inside of an app that I use, that all my clients use as well, so that I know what's going in my body and how many calories there are and what the macros are, the protein, fats, and carbs. And if I'm, freaking you out by just mentioning this, I get it. It's a little bit over the top, but it's not something you got to do for the rest of your life. I just choose to do it, one, because it creates elite results for me from a physical perspective, from a mental perspective too. I could dive deeper into that when needed. And also, I'm a role model and an example for the people who come through my program. And if I'm going to ask them to do something, I better damn well be doing it no matter what. And so when people say to me, I didn't know what I ate because I was at a wedding, or I traveled for the weekend, or it was, shared hors d'oeuvres, or it was a buffet, or I was out to dinner for a date night, cool story. I've done all of those things. I went on a golf trip with my friends. I did this, I did that. Cool story. I've done it all too. And I'm approaching 500 consecutive days of tracking food, which I'm sure you all know is over a year. And a funny stat, and even more interesting stat, is if I hadn't taken 2 days off in October of 2024, unintentionally, by the way, I just happened to get blackout drunk and didn't remember what I ate. So I thought it'd be not really the right thing to go back and just kind of take a guess, 48 hours later when I realized that I hadn't done it. I would have had about a 900 day or so streak because I was pushing about 400 days, took 2 days off, got right back up on the horse, didn't cry about falling off the horse, falling off the wagon. Back in the day when we used to ride wagons and horses around as our modes of transportation and we fell off, we didn't cry, we didn't sit there in the dirt and wonder why, we just got the F back up and kept it moving. And that's what I did. And so here we are celebrating 2 milestones this week. The more important one is the podcast milestone. Because that involves production and it involves me making a commitment to you. Now, obviously, I'm making a commitment to myself with the food tracking and all that stuff. But it begs the question, and it got me thinking about this when I realized this a couple of weeks ago as I started to think about the 300th episode. And then I just kind of happened to look at my phone and saw the streak was around 490 or so days or whatever. And so it got me thinking, what if obviously you do things on a daily basis and a weekly basis, basic human needs. We eat food. We go to sleep. Maybe there were days in the last 500 where we didn't. Maybe there were days in the last 500 where we didn't eat. We relieve ourselves. Again, like we do these basic human needs. But outside of that, what have you done every single day for the last 500 days? What have you done on a weekly basis every week for the last 300 weeks? And if there was a habit that you inserted 6 years ago or 500 days ago, and you did it every single week for 6 years or every single day for 500 days, where would your life be? And that's not what I want to talk about in this episode, but I wanted to pose that question to you because I've been thinking about it over the last week or so, and it's a powerful question. If you just put your head down and did something, anything, what if you sent a meaningful text to another person in your life, whether it be family member, friend, coworker, whatever? What if you did it every single day for 500 straight days? Could you just imagine what your relationships may turn into? What if you went to the gym 4 days a week for 300 straight weeks? What would your body look like? What if you made a particular commitment in any area of your life for either 500 straight days or 300 straight weeks? Would your life look better? I think it would be silly to assume that it wouldn't. I think it would be even reasonable to assume that it would be dramatically different. And I can say the same thing. 500 days ago, my body did not look like it does right now. 300 weeks ago, my business did not look like it does right now. Now, the podcast is not specifically tied to my business, but I don't need to tell you that you may have found me because of the podcast, and you may have hired me or come inside of my ecosystem and my programs. And yes, the podcast does generate lead flow and people into my world that pay attention to me. Maybe you heard about my email list. Maybe you found out that I was also on LinkedIn and Instagram. You started to consume some of my content, and boom, in air quotes, 2 years later, we're working together. And so again, I'll ask the question before we move on to this week's topic. What could you do for the next 500 days in a row or the next 300 weeks in a row that would absolutely transform your life and take it to another level? Because most likely it's not even going to take 500 days or 300 weeks. If it's a daily thing or a weekly thing, you will see results way faster than that. I often tell clients and prospective clients, and I've talked about it a bunch on this podcast as well, about this little analogy that I bring up. When going on a journey of physical or mental transformation, also relational transformation, transforming your relationships, it feels and looks a lot like a road trip. You start at a destination and you have an end result, a place that you want to get to. And so you have a starting destination and you have an ending destination. And the GPS requires you to put that ending destination in, that goal. And GPS knows where you're at, so that's your start. And based on those two pieces of information and all the data that it knows about what's going on in the world, it of course spits out your turn by turn directions. And I use this analogy a lot with prospective clients because they are talking to me about their journey and where they would like to go. And I explain to them that everybody is starting at a unique place. You have your own starting line. You have your own address that you're starting at. I am starting in a different place than you are when we are on our way on our own personal journeys. I may care to go to a slightly different address than you. Maybe it's the same neighborhood, but it's a slightly different house. Maybe it's completely different neighborhoods in areas of the country. I might have different goals than you do, and that's okay. The important thing is that you identify and understand what those goals are. And know that you need to have very specific coordinates in order to get very specific turn-by-turn directions on your way. And I often tell clients and prospective clients that they ask like, well, what do you do and what's your role and how do you do it? And I bring up this analogy and I tell them that I'm riding shotgun. And that's the title of this week's episode. I'm riding shotgun. I got shotgun. I got shotgun on your ride. Now, what does a guy or a girl riding shotgun do on a road trip? Hopefully, if they're useful and not just passed out the whole time, they are helping you navigate. Now, back in the day, those of us who are old enough to remember MapQuest, they might have been sitting there flipping the pages, telling you the next turn, right? We don't need to do that anymore. But maybe they're helping you look at what's ahead and seeing that there is something, construction, an accident, or looking up on their phone, maybe some of the best places to eat along the way. Because this is a long drive we're heading on. We're not just going across town. Usually people hire me for long-term goals. It's a road trip. Now on road trips, you usually need to make some stops. I currently live in Palos Verdes Estates, California, in the Los Angeles area, a beautiful suburb of LA. I grew up and lived in Bergen County, New Jersey, a beautiful suburb of New York City. Those two places are about 2,500 miles apart. If you're going to drive from LA to New York, or more specifically, from Palos Verdes Estates to Cresskill, New Jersey, where I live in my last home, or Bergenfield, New Jersey, where I grew up, or Tenafly, New Jersey, where my golf club is, or anywhere around there, you're probably going to need specific coordinates. Now, if you're me, you can usually figure out where to go because you lived in both places, but you might not know the best way along the way because there's so many different turns you have to take. And I might not know that there is a section of Route 80 closed 100 miles up the road until I hit it, but that's what the GPS is there to help me out to do. And that's what a good co-pilot does. That's what somebody who rides shotgun with you does. That's what a good operator inside of a business, a COO, a business manager on the trading floor. That's what an operations person helps you do. They help you establish, where are we going? Let me understand where we're going. Make no mistake though, this is your destination. Now I can give you some ideas about what you might be capable of and hopefully plant a seed for you to get you motivated along the way and maybe share and lend my belief in you. You can borrow belief. It's hard sometimes to get started when you don't know that you're capable. And that's why I always use myself as a personal example. And I say often, I used to open up the podcast with, if I can do it, so can you. That's true. I changed my life in the seat that you sit in right now. I then operated my life for another 5 years in that seat before I left. I've said this before. I didn't Jerry Maguire the thing and take my goldfish when I was 30 pounds overweight, drinking too much, doing drugs, gambling too much, on the brink of divorce. I didn't make a decision to go, you know what? I need to go born again, live the organic life, and move to a freaking ranch and just disconnect. I stayed in the same environment that, now I caused it, but that was present for me to cause the problems that I would needed to fix. I did it in the trenches. And that's why I laugh when people say, or people blame their circumstances, their commutes, their stressful job, their schedules. It's bullshit. It's all bullshit. I understand it's hard to divorce yourself from that. What you've done has actually created a lot of success. And so it's hard to separate the things that you actually don't want and don't need to do and just keep the things that are a necessity. But again, that's what a great advisor, for my financial advisors out there, that's what a great advisor would do for you. That's what a good COO would do, a good business manager. They'd start to come in and audit. We audit inside my program on a weekly basis. I ask you to get accountable to what you said you were going to do last week. I ask you to make commitments to what you're going to do this week. I ask you to prepare for all of the curveballs and fires, which really aren't curveballs, because you know about most of them on Sunday. And so it's effectively a harder pitch to hit because it's got some spin on it, but you're being told that the pitch is coming. Thursday, wow, look at that calendar. Here comes the curveball. Okay, let's figure out how to sit on that pitch and get good at it. And you know what? The first couple weeks, you swing and miss. But week 3, week 4, week 5, I don't know, at some point, you start to drive that bad boy into the gap. My son's a baseball player. I can't even use basketball analogies anymore. My mind goes to baseball. It's the life I live. So sorry for everyone who doesn't like baseball. That's what a great coach does. They ride shotgun. And so what someone like me does in a program like I have is they help you along the way. But you need to drive the car. I can't drive the car for you. I can't do the push-ups. I can't keep certain foods out of your mouth. I can't put the right ones in. I can't schedule a date night with your wife. I can't turn your phone off when you're doom scrolling and your ass should be in bed. I can't not hit the snooze button when you don't feel like it. I can't push the weight at the gym. I can't do any of that stuff for you. You have to do it. But I can, every once in a while, touch that steering wheel. Hey, did you hear that? We're hitting those little bumps on the side of the highway. You're starting to veer off of the intended path. Rather than put us in the ditch, here comes my elbow, let's get back on track. Or maybe I'm not paying attention and you do get us off track. I'm there to let you know it looks like we're off track. Would you like to get back on the path? Or should we keep driving around in this area, not getting to our destination, not getting any closer to LA from New York, not getting any closer to Bergen County from Palos Verdes? Didn't you say, hey, didn't you say that you wanted to get there? Isn't it important to you? Remember all the reasons why you said it was important? Well, if we don't get back on track, you are not going to be able to achieve any of those things that you said you deeply care about. And so now that's you screwed up along the journey accountability feature of working with a coach inside of a structured program, customized and built to develop an operating system that works for your life, most likely sitting in a financial services seat. Not all of our clients are financial professionals. About 70% are. I know I lead forward facing with that marketing. 70-ish% of our clients are financial professionals. And so that's the, oh shoot, we're in trouble role. But what about the sights along the way? What about the cool stuff that you get to see? If you're driving from the East Coast across the country on Route 80, heading to the West Coast, and you roll through Columbus, Ohio, and it's the fall, and it's a Saturday, and the Ohio State University football team is playing, and you've never been to an OSU game, and I have, and I'm like, have you ever been to an Ohio State football game? And you're like, no. I'm like, well, dude, we got to go. Like 100,000+ people in there. They're playing Michigan. This is like wild. You're going to remember this experience for the rest of your life. Does it really matter that we get to California 24 hours later? No, I guess not. Yeah, we should do it. Okay, cool. I'll get on StubHub right now. I'll get the tickets. But what happens with a lot of people, because that is a very worthy stop in the journey. Now, with this little silly OSU football game analogy, think family vacation. Think your 2-weeker. Think experiential dinner out. Think a golf trip with the boys. These are all experiential moments on your road trip, because most likely 99% of you are not going to just drive straight through the night all the way to Cali. You're going to run out of gas. You're going to fall asleep. You're going to get hungry. There's going to be a lot of things that happen along the way. Some of them are unintended and unexpected. Some are going to be planned. We will drive 14 hours today, and then we will stop in this town at this hotel. That's what we set up to do. That's a planned stop. The mistake that so many people make, though, in this analogy that I keep dragging out, is that your ass is still tailgating in the parking lot at Ohio State, and it's Tuesday. And so my job as your co-pilot riding shotgun is to grab your ass and put it back in the car on Sunday morning so that we can get back on the road. Because if you stay there for too long, your time to destination just continues to expand. And so sometimes these planned stops that are very much worthwhile end up costing us time because we don't get back to it. And that's what a great coach will tell you to do. Get back to it. Get back on that horse. Get back on that wagon. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Yeah, I know that you literally catapulted yourself off of the horse. But the only way to ride again is to get up. Human beings, they sit there and they feel sorry for themselves. And not only do they just sit there, but then to continue this analogy, they start to pour dirt on themselves. They dig a hole that they go further and further into, instead of just simply getting their ass up and dusting themselves off and getting back to it again. What if you had a guy standing over you with his hand? If you're on YouTube right now, I got some big hands. I'm 6'6". You know what they say about guys with big hands? Big gloves. What if I was there with my big mitts pulling you up off the ground? Maybe you needed a inspirational comment, like, you got this. I believe in you. Come on, let's go. It was only a 24-hour, trip off the path. Maybe sometimes you need the stick and not the carrot. I got sticks too, baby. I love swinging sticks. I'll shame your ass if I need to. I say that with love, but I will once we get to know each other and build some rapport, and I have credibility with you. That's what good coaches do. It's my job to get you back in the car, find the next path, and to keep going. But you have to put your foot on the gas, you have to put your hands on the steering wheel, and you have to drive the damn thing. Because if you don't, we're not going to get anywhere. And I don't want to drive in neighborhoods in circles. I want to get to my destination. And so if you find yourself feeling like you're doing things, maybe you outfitted your garage with a new home gym in 2026. You've dropped $25K on the home gym. You got a personal trainer 3 days a week for $150, $200 a pop. You're eating pretty good. I just threw the air quotes up there for everybody on audio. You're eating pretty good. It's usually a sign that you're not. And you don't always know it. As I've said, I said last week, everyone knows what not to do. Mostly everyone. mostly everyone, especially people not in the world that I live in, most everyone, they don't know what to do. When I say that, I mean they don't know the most efficient actions to take to get the result that they want with the least amount of commitment and effort. You need 3 minimum, probably more like 4, 45-minute sessions in the gym a week. I have guys that do less. I have guys that do more. You need to walk around a bit more than you are right now. For some of you, maybe even more. You need a customized nutrition program that fits your unique lifestyle, that allows you the flexibility to go to your client dinners, to travel when you need to for work, to enjoy those weekends at the country club, at the beach club, at those dinner parties, date nights with your wife, all freaking day on the baseball, lax, soccer fields. All day. I know. I've lived it. I've spent 12 hours on a baseball field pretty regularly. I spent multiple hours in gyms when my son was playing basketball. I've gone to dance competitions. I know how long they are. I know that you're in shitty areas that don't have great options for food. I know that you can't bring your Tupperware container of grilled chicken and green beans to your next client dinner. I know that gets you fired. So you need a customized solution for that. That's what we do. These are all components of the journey that you need, but you don't need to do crazy shit. You don't need to work out 7 days a week. I've had guys that have started my program that have been working out 7 days a week. And I'm like, what are you doing? You do not have the results that you want. Why are you putting in the effort? Why not just dial it back and not put in so much effort and not get the results? Trainers are great. In-person trainers are amazing. I have some phenomenal friends who are in-person trainers. They are so knowledgeable, but they may not be the thing that you need because you see them for 2, maybe 3 hours a week. There are 24 hours a day. I know you know math. And there are 23 hours in the other days that you don't see your trainer. So we are talking 98% or more of your week that you are not with this person. They count your reps. They make you want to puke. None of those things are needed. And so you got trainers, you got supplements, you just started peptides because you heard peptides are now the thing. You probably went on TRT and you still don't have the results that you want. You need a solution that's customized for you. And that's what a good co-pilot does, who rides shotgun with you inside of a program like this. Are there other programs like this? Yes, there are. Are there any led by a person who sat inside corporate America for 20 years? I don't know. I don't think so. I think most of them are fitness people, health people, coaches. They're great. They don't know your life like I do. They haven't sat in your seat like members of my team have. We just brought on another ex-financial professional who spent over 15 years in a seat just like yours. We're growing a team of people that look exactly like you, that have families, that have sat in your seat, that have been out to dinners, that have had to travel, that have had long commutes. They don't sit in the gym all day with their Tupperware container with the next client coming and the next client coming. They don't live the gym junkie life. No disrespect to the people who do. They are incredibly valuable for that hour of time. Some of the really good ones, they operate the rest of your life too. If they were smart, they'd all do that because there's more money in that. So if you want to actually get results, you're throwing money, you throw money at it. Money's not the problem for you. Effort and desire isn't really the problem either because you're willing to put it in. You're just not putting them into the right places. And so if I can pass along any really strong advice to you, it would be to audit what you're doing. Is it working? Would you do this in your business continually for the amount of time that you've been doing it and still allow the lack of results that you have and still be complacent with what you've gotten from the effort you've put in? You would probably change it real quick. You'd have all hands on deck. You would test new things. You would figure out what works. You would find the solution and you would go all in on it. You would do it when you don't want to. You would show up even when you're tired. You'd find help. You'd pay consultants. You'd get coaching. You'd find mentors. You'd have specific goals. You'd get it done. And that's all you need to do in your personal life. I am so appreciative that you've been part of this journey with me. I had a business that really didn't exist 300 weeks ago. I mean, it did, but it was like a hobby. It's kind of a side hustle still. Today, it's a real business. It's got a long way to go. A long way to go. But it's a real business that helps real people just like you. We've helped hundreds of them now. We've helped transform the lives of hundreds of men who sit in seats just like yours. And if you think that we might be able to help you, reach out to us, brian@thesuccesslift.com. Text me at 917-709-4283. I appreciate you. I promise you that there will be another 300 podcast episodes. Well, let me go back on that. I don't know if there's going to be another 300 podcast episodes. I'm not going to promise anything that I'm not going to deliver. I'm going to do this podcast for as long as it provides value to you and as long as I feel like it's the right thing for me to do. I'm going to track my food for as long as I feel like it adds value to my life and sets an example for my clients. I encourage you to put your head down and do the work for 500 straight days, 300 straight weeks, whatever that is for you. Go to work, pick your head up into the future. It doesn't have to be 500 days. It doesn't have to be 6 years. And evaluate, take a look back at what you got. I guarantee you'll like at least the progress. You may not love where you're at. That's the beauty of this journey. There is no finish line. Appreciate you. I'll see you back here next week.